I'd like to welcome you all to the history of our small town along with its engines. We begin in the year 1924. The town of Buildenville was founded off its discovery of gold in a mine during 1924 and was soon connected to a village not too far away. People of the village were willing to trade with Buildenville, and soon the town was booming with revenue. Years passed and 1939 rolled around. World War II came through and devastated the town. Some residents left, most stayed to help with the war effort, building a rail line connecting to a newer kingdom, Phoenix Drop, in 1942. The line was complete that year and began trade. An engine by the name of Tiger was hired to work the main line to deliver resources to each of the towns. And after the hardships, 1945 came around and World War II was over. More people came back to the town, new faces and old, and businesses popped up around. People built their houses. A military was made, and armor was made by the blacksmith. Decades passed from 1945 and the 1990s rolled around. In 1993, more modern steam engines were purchased for later use on the line, and a workshop was built to build their own locomotives. During 1995, a big copper vein was found, and a mine was due to be built later that year. In the year 1996, the mine was finished. Many more people came in and left. A city west of Buildenville came on the radar. It was named Brixton City. A narrow gauge line was to be built once connecting the two regions. From 1997 to 1999 was when it was supposed to be finished, but was delayed many a times. The Spirit of New Orleans rail disaster happened and traffic along the rails was halted, delaying it for over a year. Most of the materials were being transported by rail. They didn't want any mishaps happening along the rails going to and from the small towns. 2001 was a devastating year for New York and the rest of the towns nearby and even around the country. We all know where this is going. The terrorist attacks of 9/11 happened and all traffic of all sorts had been halted for a couple years for everything. Whilst people mourned, Buildenville gave New York supplies to rebuild the attacks and hoped it would be better. 2006 rolled about, and older locomotives were rebuilt to be shown off at a museum that would soon be built later on down the line. 2008 was when the museum was built. The engines were moved in there, and the locomotives thrived. About a decade later, in 2018, the county mine was built, and it was the secondary coal and iron supplier, Phoenix Drop being the original and the first. 2020 rolled into view, and a devastating event happened that halted everything for about 2.5 years. COVID-19. During the time between 2021 and 2023, rail lines were upgraded and made news in the town. During COVID, the village that had started all of its discovery in 1929 was blocked off due to the rate of the virus soaring and has not been opened since due to any coordination. The future is soon to come, and updates will be made yearly upon all of this starting in 2024. We move on to the history of our engines. The Norfolk and Western 475 is first. The Norfolk and Western 475 was moved to the NMPA after its crash into a rail excavator on the Strasbourg Railway. It now runs our freight and occasionally small passengers. 2022 was the year its accident happened and was moved later that year after it was repaired. The Norfolk and Western 611 is now up. The Norfolk and Western 611 is our fastest running locomotive, as we run our express runs to from Buildenville to Phoenix Drop in less than 30 minutes. It came around in the 1900s and has been a useful running engine since. An engine by the name of Buildenville is our next one. Buildenville is the only diesel that is owned by the NMPA, where it ran from 1960 to 1977 from Buildenville to Phoenix Drop on slow passenger duties. It runs occasionally, but not as often as it used to. It was built in the 1950s and was moved here in 1960. The SPNS 700, and or known as Lancaster, was brought on by the NMPA as the original passenger engine before the 611 took its place. It never ran once, but it still holds a bit of a memory as the old rail lines of the SPNS are no more. Once an expansion is made to our railways, the 700 may ride again. Now, our smallest engine of the bunch is an engine by the name of Goddess, our shunter from Baltimore and Ohio. Moving the cars where they need to be on time and as quickly as needed. Goddess was brought on in the 1980s due to the rising demand of a lot of things. This one may be a shocker to most of you. We have our own replica of the Flying Scotsman, who was brought here in America in 1969. And we Americans decided to keep a replica of the locomotive with an American set, instead of it being its usual Britannia look. Ran back in the day and still runs today on events like the 4th of July. Our next one is a bit of a doozy, as we do not know truly how it ended here. The UP Big Boy is the largest and heaviest loco in the world, with 157 cars being able to be pulled, and it weighs over 1 million pounds. Not the currency. It does deserve its name, Big Boy. How it got here, we have no idea. It just appeared one day. We assume it was by crane or something. Our next engine is another doozy, as we don't truly know the origins of the C10. We purchased it back in the 1970s, and we're not truly sure where it comes from. It's a mix of 3 different areas: America, Britannia, and Germany, as far as I've heard from other sources. Our last engine is an engine you may know decently well if you were alive back in the day. Old 97 was an express mail locomotive, and some moron drove the locomotive over 90 around a bend in Danville, Virginia. In its memory, a song was made called The Wreck of Old 97, made by a well-known singer who has done many other works on rail and road. That is all our engines for now, but I do wish to see you in some other time, when we get either another engine, or if it may be a year's time, when 2024 rolls around, and our sights are seen on new ideas and new buildings brought up. Thank you for being here. And this has been Ninja's Story Time.